Hey, what's going on, Golferos? Welcome back to the Salud Golferos Podcast. This is going to be a really fun and exciting episode because if you look behind me, you can see these awesome tanks. If you look next to me, I got two amazing guests. I don't know if Hex counts as a guest because he's part of the Golferos, but sitting right next to me on my right is head janitor, as he likes to call himself, but in reality, he's the co-founder, brewmaster of Blue Fire Brewing. Tommy, what's up, bro? How you doing?
Howdy. Doing well.
Welcome to the pod, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having us, and thanks for being in this.
Totally. You guys are family. Welcome anytime.
Likewise. Guys, we have what we like to call the golf widows in our life, and Tommy is definitely one of those. Him and his family, like you said, you welcomed us in, and we're family, and likewise, you're our family, man. Because I think over the past couple of years, we've built a great relationship and friendship. So excited for this episode, man.
Most definitely, yes.
Yeah. So I guess we'll kick things off of, happy May 4th. May the 4th be with you all at the time of the recording of this episode. So let's cheers to that. Salud.
Salud.
Yeah. But yeah, we got a lot of great topics to cover today, especially because today is a brew day for us. La Cheve batch 3. So we'll definitely dive into that. But you guys have been so great with us. Ever since Eric, aka the Hopped On, introduced us. It's like I said, it's been a great relationship and friendship that we fostered over the past couple years. So I want to use our platform to give you guys shine. Blue Fire Brewing here in San Marcos, California. How about you tell the people, how'd you guys get started?
Yeah, so I think our trajectories were pretty similar. You guys were kind of starting off while we were starting off as well. So, when you guys approached us with the idea of making a collaboration beer, we were like, sure. Because still to this day, we're just brewing whatever we want to brew.
Yeah.
We don't have like a corporate telling us like, hey, you need to get another batch of IPA in the tank and, to accounts and whatnot. So, we're all about trying to cultivate good times and a close-knit community. And, you guys supply both of those things.
Hey, I like
that. Blue Fire Brewing, the idea started over 5 years ago. But yeah, we really, we just kind of made it happen. We got our plans submitted, started the build out process right before COVID hit. Like we had behind us this whole stretch of concrete open, and COVID just kind of like shut things down. And we just kept our heads down and, believed in the idea of people drinking beer in a post-COVID world, whatever that was going to look like. There was a lot of uncertainties, but I didn't think people were going to stop drinking beer.
Yeah. Oh, no. I think people started drinking more beer.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, that definitely.
Yeah.
So, we were probably, I don't know how many months into starting, maybe close to a year, but when we met you guys, so it was good timing to kind of start a relationship like that with the collaboration. And yeah, brew number 3, I think it's going to be the best one yet.
Oh, heck yeah, dude. We got a little sample here. Like I said, we're going to talk more about Cheve here in a little bit, but yeah, it's the foundation has already been set for batch 3, so I'm really excited. So yeah, we kind of talked a little bit about how you guys started pre-pandemic, but can you take us back a little bit? I feel like every guy's dream, every guy, I myself included, is, one day I want to open a brewery. I want to start brewing beer. When did that thought creep into your mind? And this is a family business, so I know your brother, your dad, your mom, you guys are all in on this. When did that start creeping into your mind?
Yeah. So I guess because I'm actually curious about this as well. So everybody wants to do beer. So a lot of people do home, beer and everything. I guess the biggest question is, when did it become from a dream to an actual, let's do a brick and mortar and set it up? Like when did that happen?
So the initial idea, I was 17 years old drinking beer, and I was like, oh, wow. It'd be cool to start a brewery.
Yeah.
Not knowing anything about what making beer was like. And I grew up in North County, San Diego, which is a mecca for beer.
Yeah.
And so I was around it. And so that idea of like, you can start a brewery was around in my upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know what was really involved. When I was going to college, some buddies and I decided it would be cheaper to make our own beer than to buy beer, which it's not the case. You're going to spend a lot more money. Making beer is great fun, but you're not going to save money.
Yeah.
You're fooling yourself if you think that.
Yeah.
You should still do it though. And so anyways.
It's a great time. We have fun every time we come in here. So
Totally.
It's labor intensive, but we enjoyed it today. It was fun. It was, it's time consuming, but it was great.
Yeah.
Totally. There's nothing like, putting hard work into a process where at the end of the day you can share it with friends and family and get a little sauced. So.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, that's one of the first things. Like, this is our third brew day. Like I said, third batch of La Cheve, and one of the first things you always say is, "You ready for a beer?" And
is it break time?
Is it break time? Is it beer o'clock already?
All right.
It was like 9 a.m.
So that I don't not answer the question, I guess it was sometime after I graduated college. I was still home brewing. Charlie and I bought some equipment together, and we were home brewing. And just kind of at a certain point, my dad just kind of came to us and said, "So are we going to do this or not?" And we're like, "Yeah, let's go for it."
I love that too.
I love
That's
that,
great.
dude.
Yeah, you had your father's support.
Yeah,
which is the best support you could always want.
Yeah.
So that's cool that he encouraged you. He pushed. Well, I wouldn't say he pushed you, but he kind of did, right?
I mean, let's be honest. He likes beer.
He likes
Yeah.
So
John loves himself a good beer. So
and I mean, he's told you stories of running, his own business when he was 16 years old and stuff. He's been his own boss for a long time. So he wanted to kind of create that for us as well, of being in charge. And I mean, I grew up watching him work more than anybody should work.
that's awesome.
And I still got into a business for myself, which I don't know what that says about me, but
I think that just speaks to the respect that you have for your pops, and I honestly admire that about your dad, because it's something that I see in my own dad, which I think is why we all resonate with each other, like why we all clicked right away, because we're all hard workers. I mean, we came in here and we helped you with the first collab beer, and you were just like,
this was the easiest brew day I've ever had today. These guys did everything.
That's right. It's funny because I said it. I did say it's like, you got to have more Mexicans on here brewing with you. We clean up after ourselves, bro.
You're like, oh, put it back the way it was. Put it back the way it was.
That was. Hey, no, flip it the other way. That's gonna rust. Don't do it that way.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, no, it's funny.
Yeah. But I would definitely love to talk a little bit more about that, though, because we definitely got to give some mad respect to your dad. Like you said, your dad has told me stories. I've been here just kind of on a casual night enjoying a brew, and your dad starts talking to me about the business. But what was the original dream that your dad had for you guys? It had something a little to do with a jewelry store, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's how he put my siblings and I, put food on the table and put us through college. Was he ran a jewelry store for over like 35 years, maybe more. My grandpa started to work for the guy that started the company. He was just a traveling salesman, and he met this guy, and at the time my grandpa was selling like hair gel and tools and just like whatever he thought he could sell on military bases.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he I guess the story is that he went from painting ships in Long Beach to being a salesman on military bases. So he would just drive all around and sell whatever he could. And he ended up meeting this guy that started his own jewelry company. And my grandpa said, hey, I could sell this to guys going off to war.
Do you need a
Everybody's
ring to get married before you, you head out to war? Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, they're just from Iowa, didn't have a lot of money, but he made it work. And the guy that originally started the company didn't have family that wanted to take over. And so my dad ended up buying the company from him. And my dad continued to operate on the military bases. So he had, at one time, like 12 stores or something around the world.
Shoot. Yeah.
Which is just
Around the
gnarly
world
to
or
me.
just the country?
Yeah, like Japan. And
Oh,
like,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, I know.
That's impressive, dude.
It's crazy.
That just like speaks to like how humble your dad is, because your dad told me this story. He's like, yeah, I had a jewelry store, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And he's like, yeah, then the boys wanted to get into brewing, and so like I was like, forget that, let's go into brewing. He didn't tell me that there was 12 stores around the world. So.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm the third out of 4 kids, and by the time I was around and knowing what was going on, he only had 1 store, so he had kind of dwindled it down
a little bit. Yeah. Okay.
Just because it was a lot for him to handle. But yeah, it was. Yeah, we're fortunate. You know, I mean, I grew up not needing to worry about money. We didn't get full price cereal. You know, whatever was in the coupons that week is what we got.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember getting Tricks, and just being like, there must have been a coupon.
Oh, we got some sugar in the cereal today.
But no, it's good. I'm super fortunate to my parents, or feel fortunate and have gratitude towards my parents for the way that they kind of raised us. And yeah.
No, and that's great, man. I mean, the relationship that I see with you and your father's always around. Your father's always here. The times that I've been here, he's been here, and your mom as well. You know, that structure that you guys have as a family. You know, a lot of people don't have that, and it's great to see that. You know, you guys have that. I mean, you go from what your father was doing as a jeweler or as a jeweler retailer, and you wanted to brew, and he supports you. That is something that you don't hear of mostly.
Yeah.
My father wanted me to be a doctor. There was no way in fucking hell I could be a goddamn doctor. But yeah, you know, he just let me be. You know, he kind of dwelled about it a little bit. But, you know, it goes to show that when you have that support system behind you, you end up being, you know, successful is the word I was trying to look for.
Yeah.
And the support you had with your father and your mother as well. I don't want to exclude her either. But yeah, just a good family structure is sometimes that counts a lot. A lot of people are not as fortunate as some of us were, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's big too, because like some of the things that we've talked about early on in the podcast is, you know, giving perspective and insight and just allowing people to kind of just succeed wherever they feel that they fit in. I think that's really important. Like think about, I mean, Hex and I were talking about video games when the brew was getting started, and how many kids grew up wanting to play video games, but their parents were like, that's stupid, don't do that. Now we're in 2024, that's a major like revenue stream for some kids. Like they're just gaming hard and making money off of it. So
making more than their parents.
Dude.
Totally.
It's insane. So no, I kind of circling back to what Hex was saying, that I think that's important, that the fact that you have like that family structure where they were like, you guys want to do this, maybe not necessarily for the money, more because they see the passion in it. And you guys, what we were talking about earlier is you guys have developed a really strong community here. Like, I come in on Thursdays. Thursdays is usually the night of the week that I come in, and there's all the locals, you know, Eric's coming in, Carlos is coming in, Maddie, all these other guys. And
people outside right now, they're just watching Star Wars. By the way, it's May 4th.
May 4th.
Yeah, so
Star Wars on all the TVs.
Star Wars on all the TVs.
So, I mean, the amount of people you have out there, it's fun to see. You know, it's something that you created.
Yeah.
And
great people here.
Great feeling.
Yeah. What was that initial goal for you guys when you? So obviously you have the passion of starting a brewery. You want to brew beer, but like, did you guys have any like I guess, mission statement as far as like opening the business? Was there something that you were like, we have to do this in order to have a successful business?
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty intentional with wanting to not start too big. So we have a 5-barrel system here.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea was, figure out how to do it on a commercial level, because that's a different ball game than homebrew. And really for me, it was always try to make the best beer and serve our local community. Just provide a welcoming, non-pretentious environment where it's not like, oh, you don't know what El Dorado hops are, like you can't drink my beer,
Yeah.
It's just like, no, like this is just beer, we make it in the back. I'll answer questions if you got any, but if you just want to sit down and like have a crisp beer, that's fine with me. And just try to be welcoming to anybody that's coming in. No Nazis, please, but yeah, I mean anybody. It's
I love that.
We should probably reflect on what the
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those things where like we're just we're making a small amount of beer to satisfy the local market, and if we can expand a little bit, we will. But we want to be organic, and
Good old watering hole.
it's just a local watering hole.
Yeah. I definitely feel that this is like the Cheers of breweries in the area. You walk in and like I said, there are the regulars, and I've walked in and it's like Ralph, or like Eric comes in, Eric, and stuff like that. So I think you guys have definitely knocked it out of the park in that sense, that you guys built of community, a welcoming community as far as like coming in and drinking great beer. Like, once again, I tell people I could be biased because we do have a collaboration beer with you guys, but there's no bad beer on your guys' menu. And I just speak.
Not this one right here in front of us. This one's
Yeah, Hex is drinking a triple IPA. We'll have Tommy start diving into these, but
fire.
No, and I really think that's why you guys are so successful, in that sense that, like you said, you don't kind of report back to any corporate overlords or anything like that. You're like, what am I feeling like brewing today? And okay, cool, let's just start mixing it up in the back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I applaud you guys on that, man. That's really great.
I kind of wanted to go back to the original question that Mikey asked, and I know that when you started, you were in construction, and then COVID hit. There's a lot of people out there that still to this day want to create their own brew. They want to probably start their own brewery. Can you elaborate first of all, how hard is it financially to start a brewery? And you don't have to get into the numbers, just in detail, I mean. But then how hard, this is just my question, how much harder was it for you during COVID to know that you have this daunting task to finish up, and you're, at the time, projected your sales weren't going to be as great as you would want them to be, only because of what we were going through at the time? It's a two-part question, I guess.
Yeah. A lot of meat on that bone.
Yeah. Well, to anybody that wants to start a brewery, and this is just my 2 cents, like I'm not a brewery startup consultant or whatever.
Right.
If you've never been in the industry, maybe hire a brewery startup consultant. But it's not an easy thing to make money on, and you got to really love it. You got to be fine mopping floors,
Yeah.
spending
Call yourself
time.
the janitor.
Yeah.
I'm a janitor.
Janitor.
Yeah.
Staying late to clean up the pee that's always in the bathroom, just everywhere. And cleaning tap lines, I feel like that gets overlooked all the time. And, just for me at least, like I want anybody that's walking in here to drink a clean beer.
Yeah.
Ideally, they're in a clean environment. Sometimes it's like, all right, I'm not going to mop the floor today, but, that's what I'm looking for. when
Yeah.
I go into a place. I don't need anything fancy,
Mhm.
but I want the beer to be clean, and ideally where I'm
Floor and
parking
countertops,
myself to be
yeah.
clean.
Yeah.
But that's not answering your question at all.
No, but that's good. That's actually
Yeah.
I appreciate because again, this is for people that are thinking because there are a lot of people that I know of that still want to pursue this angle.
Oh yeah.
And even at this where the market is so saturated, they want to pursue it, and bless them. I would support anybody that wants to do that as well. But we just want to get your insight on how hard it is.
So yeah, I mean, basically, making beer is super fun, but it's what you spend like less than 5% of your time on, I guess, is where I was going with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and that's something that you talked about too, where it's like you're passionate about it, and maybe not necessarily it's not a cash grab. I think that's the biggest thing that we need to reiterate to people. It's not a cash grab.
It's not 2010.
It's not 2010. Yeah, everyone's barely getting into the brewing industry and things like that. It's definitely a passion project, and I would say that's really the strength that you guys have. Is like you said, you want people to come into a clean environment, something that they feel comfortable coming into. Blue Fire feels like a home. Like we're coming into your house. Like it's literally like we walked into your backyard patio and you were like, "Hey man, like I got some beers on tap. You want to try them out?" And yeah, it feels like home. Like I don't feel like I don't want this to come off as a bad thing, but like I feel like I could walk up in slides, some shorts, and a t-shirt. I just hopped off the golf course and it's like I'm gonna feel cool. Whereas like no shade to some of the other breweries in town. I feel like it's almost like going out to a bar where like I have to put on some jeans, I got to put on some Jordans, and like so no, I think that's big ups to you guys, and I applaud that.
I'm going to get back to that question a little bit.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Right now, it's a tough time for breweries. A lot are closing. If you're really trying to get into it and you are fine spending 95% of your time, mopping floors,
cleaning the dishes,
serving
and all
beer.
serving beer.
I mean, everybody's situation's different, but I'm doing front and back of the house.
Yeah.
But if you're fine with all that, there might be some opportunities to go into a location. I think we probably built out a brewery about as cheap as you could.
Mm-hmm.
The only things we bought new were the keg washer and the kegs, and everything else was used.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part. I mean, we've got new faucets and stuff like that,
Mhm.
but we really were conscious with the cost of everything because we didn't have an ownership group or whatever just throwing money at it, and we did a lot of that build out ourselves and everything, and it took longer, but I also learned a lot. So
Yeah.
I feel like it was just my dad trying to like teach me a lesson.
Yeah.
Of like this,
Sink or swim type of lesson.
Yeah.
it's like
That's a good lesson.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
that's a
I learned-
great lesson.
I learned a lot of, I think, useful stuff, for plumbing and electrical and stuff like that. So if you can afford to do that, spend some time building out a brewery and, you're okay with maybe messing up your back, go for it.
I mean, we have mostly golfers listening and watching this, so somebody's got to
Everybody's-
mess up back.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it goes. I mean, into what you're saying. What you're trying to. I think what you're trying to amplify is there's a lot to it than just brewing beer. I mean, I was hearing the story what your father was saying earlier that you guys were 15 feet down, 16 feet
Yeah.
down just to get to the waistline.
Yeah, it gets
And then-
deeper every time we tell
Right.
it.
Yeah. 35 feet to get down there.
and then the electrical, the plumbing, the glycol lines, and the inspections, the flim flams, what's the other one?
Nickel plates and
Nickel-
all this different terminology. Yeah.
I mean, it's not something to be taken lightly. You have to take it on a step-by-step basis, plan it appropriately, but just know that although your goal and your dream might be to be a brewer, a master brewer, and have your own brewery, that's cool. Just know that in the back end, there's a lot of work to
Yeah.
get to just the point where you're at right now.
Yep.
And it's hard. It's not easy. The inspections, this, that. It's. I mean, I look at what you have here, and it's great. It's a great environment. But I know for a fact that it was a lot of fucking work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This didn't come easy.
It was like a year and a half of maybe not full-time work, not 40 hours a week every week, but at least 25 hours a week coming in, and you're just,
it's passion.
It's off in the distance. Is that really a brewery?
Yeah. That actually kind of ties back in a little bit what we were talking about earlier. But so you talked about, hey, if you want to do this, like maybe you got to get a brewery consultant or have some experience, right? So that's one segment of it. And then you're talking about it's got to be passion. You're going to be learning all these different things. Did you have prior experience? You or Charlie have prior experience in the brewery industry, or is it just like you were home brewing and then it's like, let's ramp this up to a bigger scale?
Yeah, basically just homebrewing. There's a program in San Diego County through Miracosta Community College that both Charlie and I took, and it's a great program. It's more kind of tailored for somebody that maybe they're front of house in the brewery or restaurant industry and they want to work to back of house. But it's the craft beer technician program.
Okay.
So it kind of shows you the valves and the fittings that are used in a craft brewery setting. So that was good to know because, the theory is the same. You make sugar water, you add yeast, make alcohol, stuff like that. But the actual processes are a little bit sugar water.
Sugar water.
That's what it is right here.
So I mean, we took that course, but great course. I'm not going to discount it, but yeah.
It's like with everything, you get an education, but you're going to learn most of it once you like hit the ground and you're like, oh shoot, okay,
yeah,
this looks way different than a textbook.
Yeah,
But I think that's a good background for someone who wants to is like a beer novice or someone who's trying to become that one brewmaster. Is probably the best route to do that than to just go ahead and say, I'm going to go from my garage to just start making it and throwing money into a system. Like, it just probably the best route is to go that route and get educated correctly.
Yeah.
And to figure it out as you go, wasting money, dropping it,
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, you could be dropping money. You could, and if you don't have that backer, then it's just like you're wasting money. So I once again, circling back to your point is that when it's just you kind of have to have that intent. Like, I really have to like think about what is it that I'm doing? What is it that I'm buying? What is it that I'm working on to go ahead and accomplish the task essentially.
Yep.
No, that's all great stuff. And like I said, guys, huge point of this podcast is that hopefully if this is something that you want to do in your life and you want to open a brewery, then cool. Like this is, some of the things that you're going to have to deal with and
the hardships.
The hardships.
Yeah.
And it has to be a passion project that you really want to get into. So kind of in line with that, or kind of to move forward in that. So you started the brewery, everything's kind of going. What was the first beer that you brewed? Like, how did you make that decision? Like, okay, this is going to be our first one. I love the laugh. Oh, there's some memory right there. There's some some deep thought back to that one.
I believe it was. So we've got our small little system. You can see that little 1-barrel tank.
Just off camera, but yeah, we got it right here. Yeah.
So we've got a few little 1-barrel tanks and some like 30-gallon soup kettles, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe the first couple beers that we made were just through them, just to kind of get some things on tap. I think the first beer on this system was a porter.
Oh, okay.
And it was just like, we'll throw some dark malt in there and it'll be a dark beer. And it's kind of one of those, like, there's a lot of area where you just throw it at the wall. It's like, yeah, that's a porter.
Yeah, we made one.
So, and so I mean, it was really just kind of figuring out this system here because, there's like tape on the psych tube and stuff like that. Like we kind of had to figure all that out as we went.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw that question earlier, I thought it was the homebrew system, and that was also just like amber ale.
Yeah.
It's just an easy kind of beer. It's dark, it's malty, it's an ale. You don't have to really be too concerned with low temperatures and whatnot. But yeah, it feels like a long time ago, those early beers, and definitely learned a lot about this system.
It's funny. I mean, just to touch base on what you have, when we were out here helping you out, and we're chatting, and then you come out real quick, and you're like, "Hey, when the water gets to the second tape, turn it off, twist that nozzle right there, turn it off." And I was like, "What second tape is he talking about?" But you got everything lined up, and it's like you got a mad scientist type of direction you have. But I mean, that's your style. I mean, it's pretty ingenious. You already know exactly where you need every single piece of item, anything. I mean, these valves that you have, everything. It's pretty cool. But yeah, what tripped me out was the tape.
Yeah.
it's cool. Like you have it to a certain level. You know exactly what needs to go where. You don't have to guesstimate anymore because you already know exactly how you like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, especially because I feel like beer is so calculated. Like there's so much math that goes into it and stuff like that. But like you said, I mean, there's different things that Tommy and Charlie do back here. But like you said, in that one instance, it's like when the water reaches that tape.
And so
shut the valve.
Yeah, no, it's funny because it got to the tape, and I'm like, just to be sure, let it go to the top of the tape.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it bottom of the tape, top of the tape, middle of the tape?
So no, but I mean, those are your things, that, and again, those are things that people develop with experience and time, and you already have it the way you want it, so not bad.
Yeah, and that's somebody, if they're coming from Coors or really any other brewery, they would have a better process. But for me, it's the tape.
The tape.
When there's 1,700 milliliters of water in the tube. No, that's dope. Hex, I think you had a question.
Yeah,
next
so
here for
this one was actually while we were doing the live. It came in and they asked, "What was the first beer you brewed?"
Okay, yeah. So,
like overall, like not even as Blue Fire. Yeah.
So going back to my buddies and I in college, I don't even really know what the kit, if there was a name for it, but we went to, in Berkeley, California, a homebrew shop called Oak and Barrel Homebrew.
Yeah.
And they did stuff for wine, cider, and beer.
Shout out Oak and Barrel.
Yeah,
I've never been there. Okay, you've been there. I was like, shout out Oak and Barrel. We owe you because we got Blue Fire out of there.
They're legit. They've been around for a long time. Like, I think Ken Grossman used to sell to them back in the day. Like they were one of the original homebrew shops, which I had no idea when I was going there. Like we were just the closest, one that came up on Google Maps. But we basically just talked to the guy, and he was so nonchalant about what we were trying to do, and so not wishy-washy, because if somebody asks me what's the best way to make beer, my head starts going, and I start trying to figure out what they want,
Oh yeah.
And he was just like, this is what you're gonna do. And we bought a little kit. It was the malt extract, a little bit of hops weighed out,
a little packet,
little packet of yeast, and it was for an amber ale. And
that was my first beer. I brewed an amber ale. That was my first one. Yeah.
And fortunately or unfortunately, it came out good. So we were stoked. If it came out bad, we might have just been like, forget it. I'd be an actuary right now. But it came out good. We got drunk.
Which is the end goal. Listen, it didn't taste good, but it got us messed up.
That actually sparks a question for me. So, how old were you when you bought the beer kit? Were you 21 yet?
Well, he was out in Berkeley. Is that where you went to school?
Yeah, he was up in Cali. Yeah.
So,
about 21. I don't know.
Okay, because I was just thinking
you don't have to be 21.
Yeah, I was about to say because you could buy all the stuff that you need without being 21. So technically,
that's true. I didn't think about that.
You could go get all the stuff, brew your own beer in a couple months. You're getting yourself drunk and not have to go have an ID. Kids, please don't do this.
We gotta put this disclaimer.
Yeah, a little disclaimer.
Hey, listen,
parents, we are not advising your children to go brew their own beer unless it's a passion and they're of age. Yeah.
Unless you want them to learn chemistry and biology.
Or become an alcoholic. I mean, just let's put a disclaimer.
Yeah. Because I remember, I think I was 21 already when when I seriously started thinking about it, we're like, oh man, like I want to be a brewer. Like I would love to have my own beer and stuff like that. And at the time, when you're young, you know, and you start trying different beers, Raul got me into Newcastle. So I love brown ales. So I was like, oh, I want to, and I was at Sam's Club. And Sam's Club had brew kits, and you could choose between a lager, a pilsner.
Oh, yeah, I did. I remember that.
Yeah, and I saw one for an amber ale, and I was like, well, brown ale, amber, same thing. I was like, so I brewed my first beer that way too. And
how did it turn out?
It came out okay. I think it came out a little skunky, but I wasn't disappointed. I mean, I was like, oh, it's my first one. It came out all right, and you know, people were like, oh, this is good. I'm like, no, it's not, but yeah, you know. What about you?
I'm always skeptical if somebody tells me the beer is good.
No,
I never trust them.
Yeah. People told me it was good, but I don't think it was there because once again I was comparing it to Newcastle at the time, so I was just like, it's not Newcastle. So
yeah.
What about you, Hex? Did you ever do a home brew or anything like that?
Never.
Never?
Straight to a 5-barrel.
I went straight to distilling.
Straight to distilling, yeah. Because you're a whiskey guy, so you love,
well, I'm a beer guy.
Yeah, you are.
But I'm a whiskey tequila. I'm an everything except, certain spirits that I'm not. I'm an alcoholic. Just put it that way. I'll drink everything. And I have my favorites. But beer is obviously one of my favorites. All type of beer, craft beer especially.
Yeah.
I never started brewing. I never had that itch. I did have that itch for distilling.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk about it because I almost got in trouble for it. So let's just move on to the next question, please.
Tommy, have you ever tried distilling?
No, I haven't.
You haven't?
No.
I imagine.
So I'd say a little bit. You know how you were up in Berkeley with Oak and Barrel, right? So in Woodland Hills, and I'm not gonna say the name, but there was a similar shop, and I went in there, and I'm like, hey man, I want to do something, and I was kind of shy about it, and he's like, well, what do you want to do, brew or distill? And I'm like, distill. I said it so softly because I'm like, is he gonna rat me out?
Yeah.
I want to distill.
And he's like, oh, you can distill? All right, cool, I got you. And he's like showing me what I need, and he did the same thing he did with you.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how I started. I took upon myself to distill. I got all the corn and everything else I needed, and it was fun times until it wasn't.
You're out there making Everclear and whatnot, just basically gas.
It was skunky Everclear, but it was Everclear all the rest.
And you didn't blow up your house.
I didn't.
So
I succeeded. I did. I created 1.5 liters, and I had to stop. And again, I'm not going to get into it. Let's just change this.
You brought it back, not us.
No, I was trying to say that I was influenced the way he was going into this store, and they actually showed him what he needed. So it was a good experience.
Yeah, I feel like every guy at some point should have that experience. I mean, for every guy that likes to drink, as far as beer or spirits, stuff like that, like you should learn a little bit about what it takes to make the things that you're consuming, because it's like, show that off, man. Because honestly, that's what I love about this process, and like what I really appreciate about you allowing us to come in here and do this collaboration with you, because like I said, it's our third batch of La Cheve, so cheers to that. And each time you're so patient with us, and you go through the process, and you're telling us about the different valves, the different processes, things like that. So when we do get to that end point, and we're drinking La Cheve 2 months from now, I'm like, dude, this tastes better than anything else that I've ever tasted, because we've been a part of that process. Right. Yeah. I know you guys do a lot of other collaborations. Is that something that like you aim to do when you collaborate with someone, or did that just happen with us, or what's that like when you say yes to a collaboration with someone?
I mean, I met you guys through Eric, the Hop Don, who just a good guy. He's always been, hey, what can I do to help you out? Because he does awesome photos and videos and marketing really and stuff like that. So, I mean, if there's a picture that looks really cool on our Instagram, it's from Eric. Yeah. And he just will do that every so often, email me the photos, like, here you go. So I don't know if we did the Don Pina first. I think Don Pina was first. Yeah. Because that first batch, he tried to do a Serrano.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He tried to make it a Serrano Piña. I remember that.
Yeah.
And then you also had that prickly pear one as well.
Prickly
Yeah.
and pink was during the second batch.
Oh,
When we were doing the second batch, you guys were doing the first
Oh,
iteration.
okay.
of
That's
Prickly and
right.
Pink.
They were after us. Yeah,
they were after us.
That's true.
But sorry, you were saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, when Eric asked us to do it, it's like, me personally, my beer, like what I want to make is just so like grandpa beer style. Like I just want to make simple, clean beers.
Yeah.
Ales or lagers, whatever. Like, but like I'm really just trying to perfect a really good lager or pilsner all the time. That's all I want to do.
I get behind that. Yeah.
But so I feel like it kind of pushes me outside of my comfort zone when, you know, Eric comes along and says, "Hey, I want to do a pineapple beer."
Pineapples.
This is what so many of my customers want me to make. Yeah, sure, I'll do it. You know.
Yeah.
And so, and then he introduced us to you guys, and you know, we like your idea of. And it kind of goes back to me, like, not wanting to be a brewery that's, like, exclusionary.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like your whole thing with Los Golferos is, like, get people on the golf course who wouldn't have been on the golf course,
Yeah.
you know, however many years ago. And it's about bringing people into the activity that you're doing.
Yeah.
Which I kind of, you know, I thought that was tight. You guys are, you know, challenging the status quo a little bit on that front. And again, you wanted to make a lime beer. So it's like, I wouldn't normally do that. My customers would love that. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to accept all fruited beer collaborations if you're watching this. But there is a Blood Orange Hazy IPA coming up.
Oh, dude.
One of our customers came in and he's like, "Hey, I've got a bunch of blood oranges.
Yeah.
Do you want to make a beer?" And I originally said no. And my dad's like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
So
I have an idea for a papaya beer. You down? Papaya and
You don't. He's like, come on, bro. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm messing around. I leave the beer ideas to these guys.
Low key, he's just like, dang. Yeah. His reaction wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. Yeah.
If you need a bowel cleanser in your system, and drink a papaya beer.
A papaya beer.
I mean, papaya alone cleanse you out.
Dude, I
Papaya
don't.
beer.
Papaya's like a big,
It's that big orange
It's like a
looking.
squash looking
Yeah.
fruit. Well, it's technically still a vegetable, but it's sweet. So it's a.
It's
No,
a
I think
vegetable?
I think it's technically a fruit.
Was that?
I think it's technically a fruit. It has seeds.
So does fucking squash.
What is it? The difference is it seeds or flowers or something separates fruit and vegetables?
One of them 6-year-olds doesn't want to eat.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there we
there you
go.
go.
Does
All
a
right.
6-year-old want a papaya?
Oh, nobody wants a papaya. I don't want a papaya at my age right now.
Okay, all right, there you go. It's a vegetable.
That's why I said it. It would be funny to just say a papaya beer.
All right, here
Nobody
we're gonna
wants
do
it.
this. I'm gonna edit this so that we can use this as a clip. But Golferos, are you interested in a papaya beer? Yes or no?
Colon cleanser.
Colon
That's what I would call it. Papaya beer colon cleanser.
Papaya poo poo.
That's the name. Walk into Blue Fire, be like, yeah, can I get the papaya poo poo? Yeah, you're the first person to order that in I don't know how long. But no, that's funny. No, but this has been great, dude. We've been talking about kind of like the history of Blue Fire, kind of how your mindset towards running your brewery and things like that. But I kind of want to tie back into now what you have on tap now, what we've kind of started. We started talking about the partnership here, the collaboration as far as La Cheve. We went live earlier and we had a couple questions on there, and one of those being is La Cheve. What? Let's break it down. Let's break it down to the people.
What is a flavor profile?
What is the
of
flavor
La Cheve?
profile of La Cheve? If we have to describe it to viewers.
Yeah. So this iteration, third batch of La Cheve, is made with a mixture of Pilsner malt.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys tried that before we added it in today.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's
just
tasty.
just a
Real
Real
couple of
tasty, yeah.
North American Pilsner malt, which again I'm gonna start like over explaining stuff, but
Do it.
it's a
Do it.
2-row
Dive in,
barley. 2-row barley versus 6-row barley. European brewers brew with 2-row because that's what grows well over there. A lot of American beers like Coors or Budweiser, those are 6-row barleys. Those work really well with adjuncts like corn and rice. And so that's kind of how those have come to be.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a good system here we've got like an English style.
All right, guys, and we're back. Sorry, there was a quick little pause there. Sponsorship pause. No, but hey, guys, that just speaks to the fact of what it means to be, owning your own brewery. Because, like we said, you're the head brewer, you're a co-founder, you're the head janitor, and you're a sommelier or whatever they call them, because you're over here doing beer pairings for people on how to mix things. But getting back into it, Tommy, we were talking about La Cheve, the collaboration beer we have. How would you describe that flavor profile to people?
Yes. So for this iteration of La Cheve, it's a mixture of 2 Pilsner malts, which is going to just kind of provide a nice lean, light in color. Not a whole lot of like malt complexity in there. It's just going to be kind of like a nice crisp canvas for a lightly hopped beer. So we use Cascade hops,
Mm-hmm.
which were made famous by Sierra Nevada. They give a nice like orange citrus type of flavor profile to it. We didn't use a lot. We used 2 pounds in this 5-barrel batch.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a typical lager using like noble style hops. It's you guys are Mexican, I'm American. It's a mixture of it.
Yeah.
So we got the Pilsner, we've got the Cascade. We're using a lager yeast this time around. The past couple times we've used more like pseudo lager yeast that I was kind of talking about, like a Kolsch style, and one was a Kvike style. So it's gonna ferment at a much cooler temperature than previous brews, which will just kind of mellow everything out, and provide a more snappy and like crisp, hopefully crushable type of beer.
Yeah,
you're on the 8th hole, going towards the 9th, and you've got your buddies up there. You want to chug a beer before you see your buddies to chug another beer. And then we're going to be adding the lime as well towards the end. So
the lime is definitely a fan favorite, and that's what I love about working with you, is that kind of how you said, the first iteration had this, the second iteration had that. Now we're on third. La Cheve is constantly growing.
It's evolved.
It's evolved, right?
And it's evolving.
Yeah.
Still, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about it. And like, kudos to you guys. Like you, man, like you know how to make those tweaks and like being a master of your craft, where I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and add this, we're gonna change that. And that's what I appreciate about you too, is that you ask us for our input, but we're novices. We're like,
we are, because just going back to the last conversation we had a podcast a couple weeks ago, and they actually mentioned that it switched from what it was to what it is now, and I was like, why the fuck did it change? I thought it was good the first time around, but no, it goes into how you as a perfectionist just wants to make everything better and better and better. But like in my opinion, the first time around, I thought it was good. It was everybody loved it. God, we even put it in. Never mind, I'm not gonna say that, but we put it into a special establishment that I knew of, and but when I heard that it changed, and I was like, why did it change? And I was. Not that I was offended, but I was like, wait, why? What happened with it? What's going on?
Yeah.
I just wanted to know the details behind it, and you explained that to me today, and it made sense. And I was like, that makes sense. As long as it keeps getting better, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a living thing, and the next time around, if take notes in your head.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's things where it's like, oh, this batch was too bitter or didn't have enough lime, or it was too damn drinkable. I get drunk every time I go golfing now. Just let me know, and then we'll work on it.
And there is going to be a next time.
That's right.
Definitely, It's crazy because, like, we talk about it where most guys have that dream of like, oh, I want to brew a beer, I want to do this, and it's like, does it come to fruition for a lot of people? Probably not. So for us, I remember Hex and I standing right here looking up at these tanks, and I think you had walked off to get something, and Hex and I just looked at each other like, bro, like, we're collaborating to make a beer right now. This is freaking dope. Like,
this is 2 years ago.
Yeah, this is 2 years ago.
We're like, yo, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And just being part and helping and like Tommy, just get me and him to do it. We'll do it. Whatever you need, just tell us what to do. We'll do it. And yeah, sure enough, we've involved ourselves in everything and again, we could have involved ourselves a little more, but again, maybe the next time we'll do from the beginning to the end, just with you overseeing it.
Yeah.
Not that you didn't oversee now, but we just want to not only make it easier for you, but have that experience for us. It's like, you know, you call us family, and it feels like that because it's kind of like we come in here, we do this beer, and we feel like it's our beer. But, like that's for how we feel.
Yeah. So thank you, bro. Thank you so much for that.
Appreciate
honestly. Like that.
Totally. Yeah. It's cool to hear you guys say that.
It's definitely a gift, whether you believe it or not, or you thought about it, but it's definitely a gift to us. So thank you so much. So I guess kind of where I want to lead to now is kind of we're going to start winding down a little bit here because we got customers in the tasting room and we got to get back to them. I think Hex had a couple wrap-up questions here. Hex?
So I guess I'll go with the question that you wanted to ask. What is the beer you would drink if you were on a deserted island? If you were to pick one beer, what would that beer be?
All right, let's start down here and then we'll go over.
Okay. So stuck on a deserted island, and I can't choose La Cheve. We got to stay not La Cheve. Honestly, I'm gonna give it to Phantom Bride over at Belching Beaver.
All right.
I love myself some Phantom Bride. When Raul got me into craft beer, Belching was kind of one of my biggest things, and Phantom to this day remains one of my top 3 beers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
For me, man, I mean, when you think about like some of the beers that like Moonraker has out there, and even some like my local brewery, it's very hard. But if I were to just shoot from the hip, I'm in a deserted island. If I could pick one, and I need a beer. I'm dry. I'm dying. This fucking sun is killing me, and all I got is salt water.
That's right. That's the scenario.
That's the scenario.
That's what we're in.
And I would say, God, give me this. I would say, okay, one thing that I could relate would be Bunny with a chainsaw.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Paperback.
I would say, bring me Bunny with a chainsaw right here.
What beer style is that?
It's an IPA.
Yeah. I'll bring some down from up there.
I've heard of Paperback.
They make real good.
Some of your dad's hometown.
Moonraker too. I mean, I'm not saying that they're the best, or I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying these are the beers that I've tasted, and
I'll say Paperback's probably one of the best breweries. Paperback's one of the best breweries that the LA area has.
So are you guys going to be able to catch a fish with your bare hands after having a few pints of IPA?
Oh, no.
Oh, shit.
Come on.
I mean, pretty much I'm drinking my dad.
You're hanging out with the volleyball.
It's an IPA. I'm useless after that point. I don't know if I can even create a fire.
Shoot.
And then I guess the other thing I want to talk a little bit about head.
Well, hold on. Before, because it was Tommy's question, but I want to hear your answer.
Oh,
You're on the dessert.
That's true, yeah.
None of your beers, because you brew some awesome beers, which we have right here in front of us, but what would you pick?
My favorite beer style right now is definitely a hoppy lager.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We've got our first iteration of it on tap.
And it's coming. It's pretty hard now. I see it more common everywhere. I mean, I just saw the other day, I saw a 10.1 hoppy lager. And I was like, what is
10.1%?
Yes.
10.1, dang.
Yeah, in Denver. I'm not going to say what it was, but it was a 10.1.
Plus the elevation? Dang.
Plus the elevation. Can you imagine that? But yeah, that's actually a new thing where people are leaning to not only lager, but also ales with hoppier essence in it as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, there's some local breweries doing a great job. Pizza Port keeps making delicious versions of them. Russian River has STS Pils as one of their core beers. It's not like a West Coast Pils or like the hoppy lagers that Pizza Port's making. Much more subtle, but it's still just super good. And I mean, I would have to bring it back to a few years ago. I had the opportunity to go to Europe. I went to Pilsen, the birthplace of Pilsner.
Ooh.
Went down into the cellars, and they pour straight from. So Pilsner or Kel means original source or something like that for Pilsner. They're the first ones to make it. They still make their beer the same way that they did like hundreds of years ago as a quality control type of thing. It might also just be that some of those guys want to just like stick to tradition or whatever, but the idea is that they're making it mass produced, but they're also comparing it against the traditional way of doing it. But if you go on tour, if you're ever anywhere near the Czech Republic, go to Pilsen, take the tour of Pilsner or Kel. They'll take you down underground into caves that they built out to lager the beer, and like it's gnarly. But the end of the tour, they gave you a glass of Pilsner, like the way it was made, hundreds of years ago. And I like went like this, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, like I should take a picture. And it was like that much beer left in the glass. After just, like
my man almost chugged the whole beer. He almost threw it all back.
Dude, 100%. It's like I could drink that. I would potentially trade this life for living on a deserted island if I could have as much of that beer as I want.
So
just kidding. I love you, my wife. I don't want to live on a deserted island.
So would you?
But I do love that beer.
Have you tried replicating it somewhat? I mean, you enjoyed it so much, you would think that you would try.
Yeah,
to
you have
replicate
the tools.
You got the tools.
You got the tools.
You know, I feel pretty strongly that beer is like a representation of a time and place.
Oh,
I don't want to recreate anything.
Deep, bro.
That's
deep.
That's pretty deep.
You know, and I don't want to be that guy that's getting too deep, because beer is beer.
No, but that's some Buddha shit right there.
Yeah, that's some good stuff, man. No, that's true.
Yeah, that's dope. I get it. No, that's cool.
I mean, Hex can kind of speak to that. I mean, beer is it timestamps the time and place, because I mean, your daughter Harley, bro. I
I guess the reason my daughter is around is, and I mean, I didn't look at Mikey. So
I thought we were going to talk about this.
Okay. You know, everybody knows that I had my son when I was younger. I was 18, 19-ish. He's about to be 25. And then, you know, at the time he was 16, and my daughter, my wife found out she was pregnant. Well, it just that, you know, at the time when my son was like 1-2 years old and we were trying to have a sibling for him, we couldn't, and the doctor said she can't have any more kids because of the X and X reason. There's going to be treatment, so we decided, fuck it, we're going to have one child.
Yeah.
And then 16 years go by, and then we have my daughter. You know, and it's like, how did that happen? And, you know, I was sitting down one day just feeding my daughter. She's 3 months old. I'm just watching TV, and there, you know, a documentary came out, and it was about beer. And I can't remember what the documentary name was called, but it was pretty much, the documentary was how fermenting and beer saved the humanity. And there's something in hops that makes women fertile. And so something at that time, I want to say probably my wife never drank a beer. She never liked beer. We would drink beer, we'd drink Coronas, Dos Equis, you know, and she wouldn't do it. Then I started getting into craft beer, and then, you know, one day she got into craft beer, and then 6 months later, boom, she's pregnant. And it's like, and it wasn't until I was watching this documentary how hops actually make women fertile. Well, to make a long story short, she told this to her coworker who couldn't have kids either, started drinking heavy hop beer, and then she became pregnant. And then another coworker did the same thing, and then she became pregnant. So, you know, again, I'm no expert. It wasn't a movie, it was a documentary, but they said how, you know, this process saved humanity, basically saying how the fermentation and the hops actually make women fertile to have more kids in a time where, you know, we were in a decline of humanity.
Yeah. Wow.
we started brewing or fermenting for that say, and it created an incline. And it's all because of the hops.
Wow.
The hops in beer, whether it's brewed or fermented, it created a big upright for
Brought the
humanity,
population back
brought the
up.
population
That's
back up.
amazing.
That
Well,
is-
your wife had a
beer
taster
baby.
flight of IPAs tonight, so be careful.
Oh no! Listen.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as I found out, I shut the factory down, buddy. Like this isn't going anywhere. and next month I'm gonna go check myself to make sure that it's still shut down.
Yeah. She's been drinking Electric Blues. You gotta, yeah.
No, and it was her favorite too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Electric Blues is her favorite.
Oh, bro,
Electric
she
Blue is
loves
so
it,
good.
man. Her favorites are beers like Electric Blue. Her other favorite beer is from San Fernando Brewery, which is a Cube IPA, which is also about 10.2%. She is just
Dang, girl,
Yeah.
you out here
yeah.
drinking.
Believe me, if I didn't shut the factory down, we'd probably have 6 more kids right now.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, bro.
About to get your own football squad out there.
Yeah.
No, dude, and that's cool that we were kind of talking about right now. Like you shouted out how she just had some Electric Blues and stuff like that. Because yeah, man, you guys produce a lot of great stuff. Like just right here on this table, I believe we have 4 different brews, right? So
Well, we got La Cheve here.
you got La Cheve.
Yeah. This one's good.
The initial, it's still got to ferment and stuff
Yeah.
like that. We were just giving a little taste. And
Sugar
then I think I went with Electric Blues right here in my glass.
I got Electric Blue.
No, you have My Precious.
Oh, no, I have My Precious. I'm sorry.
My
Yes.
Precious,
My
which
Precious,
is a triple IPA. And then
10.5, right?
it's strong.
10.4.
10.4.
Yeah,
10.4.
Who gives a 0.01? And then Tommy, what do you got?
This is our Burn Steady Lager.
Burn Steady Lager.
Because I'm still working. This is a 4%er.
Yeah, no, that's what you got to do, right? You're representing the brewer right now, so you gotta stay a little cohesive, you know.
Yeah.
No, it's funny because earlier today I was like telling Mikey, like, hey man, we need to order some food.
Oh,
Like, I know
I know.
we were
Smart.
doing everything we were
Smart.
doing, and in the preteen breaks we were drinking beer. But I'm like, hey man, like, I don't want to be sloppy.
Oh yeah, get on the pod.
podcast. Like, so we need some carbs, bro. Order something, and yeah, we got some breakfast burritos. And
Yeah, shout
some,
out
some
to Tommy's
fries.
mom. She made a burrito run.
Yeah.
She was just like taking care of us. She's like, "Do you have enough? Do you need more burritos?"
Plus I got my water here too. Yeah, no, we needed that because it would have been bad.
Yeah,
At least for me.
probably. I was starting to feel a little bit. So
You were that. Well, I mean, I'm not worried about you. I'm worried about me. You would have had to edit this whole episode because of me and shit.
You guys, I've been drinking the 3/4 of 4%. You guys have been
Yeah.
pints of
Yeah. No.
7%
yeah,
or more.
Yeah.
10.4%.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
We are alcoholics. Tommy. Thank you.
bro, yeah. You know, it's in our genes to just smash these beers and just keep going, keep working. So
Yeah.
we go on autopilot, I guess. No, it's
All right. I want to talk about how Tommy likes his head. Sloppy head. You like some, you know.
I like a lot of head.
head's good.
So
Head is
yeah,
really good.
Mikey, talk about what we were talking about earlier.
All right, so you nasty perros, don't think we're talking about that other stuff. No, so we were talking with Tommy earlier today how to pour a beer. So some of you guys think like, oh, I got to pour a beer. I can't have any foam, anything like that. But in talking to Tommy and just reviewing some other things, I found that head is good. Head is good, right?
Yeah.
It releases gases, so you don't feel bloated. Kind of gets the flavors going. So I like a good amount of head on my beer. But speaking to the expert over here, Tommy, how much head do you like?
I give myself a lot of head.
I like it.
Oftentimes, at least two fingers.
So
Two
about
fingers.
an inch and a quarter.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I noticed you gave Hector head.
We're talking about beer, guys.
Yeah, he's a homie, so I had to make sure, so that he don't
You
get
took
all-
care of him.
Took care of him, yeah.
That was good of you. Yeah.
Come back to it.
Oh gosh, dude, that's
And I did complain. And I complained.
yeah.
I
No,
did.
He wasn't okay with the
Yeah, I
amount
wasn't
of head.
okay
I
with
mean,
it.
your
Yeah,
mom told me
The
I
quality
gave him
of
too much
head.
head. So
Yeah,
Oh,
she called you out. She called you out.
So yeah, I did call him out on the quality of head, and he told me to just
Yeah.
clean it off and he'll start again.
Yeah. That's right.
It's a great thing that I check the explicit box when we post these.
But it's good for people to know that, sometimes a clean pour is not necessarily the best pour.
Yeah.
You tend to get more bloated, or you tend to fill up faster.
Yep.
3 beers for one person with a clean pour could amount to 6, 7 beers with a full head.
Tommy got you with the zingers, bro.
No, you got me stuck. I was like, how do I respond to this?
I couldn't even finish it. So it's a cultural thing too, though. Like,
It is.
quite frankly, in Europe, especially in Prague or Czech Republic in general, like they have multiple pours that you can request. So you can actually request a Mliko, which is 100% foam.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, it's a milk pour. Basically, Mliko like translates to milk.
Okay.
Some of the trendy beer places are doing milk pours now.
Okay.
But it's a kind of they've got a totally different faucet for serving beer, which allows you to add I believe it's a more dense foam.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's beer. Again, like I don't want to overcomplicate it.
It's beer. And there's no bad
foam is
pour.
good.
There's no bad pour.
I wanted our beer glasses to allow 16 ounces of beer. So when it gets to the curve, that's 16 ounces on our glass.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so technically 2 fingers makes sense.
That
right?
should be
the
a
room
foam.
for the
About
head.
an inch and a
Okay.
quarter.
Yeah. Okay.
For
And I've always wondered that too, because I've seen these glasses with like the rib on there, and I'm just like, why? Like, what is the difference? But is that so for the pourer goes, okay, I gave you enough beer. This is now just the space for the head, or
Maybe.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm sure
I like the way these are just like, it's not a fancy looking glass, it's not like a foo-foo thing.
Yeah.
It feels good in the hand. A little bit less likely to drop it because
Security.
of that.
You got that? Yeah. It's grip.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never thought about it. But I had read that this ridge here does create a flavor profile for certain beers. So specifically ales and pilsners and what's the other one? I can't think about it. But yes, for a stout, obviously you don't want something like this. Or for a hard IPA, you don't want something like this either, even though I'm drinking a triple.
How's it taste?
It tastes great.
Very good. That might be marketing stuff with all that
Yeah.
glassware.
Yeah.
It's a great beer.
That's a great beer.
But yeah, no, that's good to know, and good for anybody to know that there's no wrong pour. As long as you know the type of pour that you're getting will determine how much beer you may or may not drink. So if it's a clean pour, less head, then obviously you're going to get more full, more bloated. If it's a full beer that has a full, inch or more head, don't be afraid of it. It's still good and it's still crisp. It's just it bloats you up less. So that's all. I mean, it was just a joke we brought up, and it became our question. But
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't be nasty over there.
Head is good.
Head is good.
Yeah,
Head's always good.
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
matter what.
Heck yeah. All right, guys. Well, like we said, we got guests over there in the tasting room. Tommy's got to get back. So, Tommy, thank you so much for today, man. The brew process, as always, it's great. Thank you so much for dedicating this time to speak with us today.
Yeah.
We've been doing the podcast. This is going to be episode 12. So we were bound to get you on here because we needed to give you guys your flowers. And thank you guys so much for being a part of the Los Golferos journey, as well as letting us be part of the Blue Fire journey. So the way we like to sign off on our podcast is we raise a glass. And as always, Salud Golferos.
Salud.
Thank you, Tommy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tommy.
Thank you.